One thing that I did not expect to happen was how fast of a transformation turning 40 would have on me personally. And I remember hearing people talk about how great their 40s were and how much more confident they were. And I just didn't really understand it. I didn't see how simply changing from being 39 into being 40 would be so life transformational. But I am here to say that has actually been the case. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that and share how being 40 for just almost 2 months has already changed my outlook on myself and my outlook on life. But before we do that, welcome to the show, you guys. If this is your first time tuning in to the Fit Women's Weekly podcast, welcome. I hope that you enjoy the conversation that we have. I hope that you go back and you listen to previous episodes and you continue to come back for future episodes. I put out new episodes every single week where I share my passion and my knowledge as being a personal trainer for over 15 years here when it comes to fitness, when it comes to nutrition, when it comes to mindset. And of course, I also just simply love to share my own personal experiences with you, how I live my life, the ups and the downs, because at the heart of it, nobody's perfect. We are all experimenting with our bodies and trying to figure out what works best for us and where we are in a certain stage of our lives, because certain stages of our lives opens the doors for trying new things and also sometimes closes the doors where this just isn't the right time to do X, Y, Z. Even if you're like, man, I wish I could do this right now. Sometimes it's just not the right time. And I share all of that with you here on the podcast. And if you are a longtime listener, you can do me a humongous favor and simply, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. If you just kind of rely on me showing up in your feed each week, don't do that. It really helps the algorithm when you actually hit that subscribe button. So do that for me right now and like the video. And if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast platform, make sure that you subscribe to the podcast. And if it is something where you're able to leave a review, make sure to leave a review. I read them all and they just make my heart so freaking happy. All right, now before we get into being 40 and how that has transformed my life, let's just first catch up because I did something this weekend that we really haven't done in a long time. If you guys follow me on social, you probably see that I don't really get out very often. What I mean by that is my life right now is very consumed by work and some really big goals that we have. So when during the week, I'm consumed with Fit Women's Weekly Live. I'm in the garage gym all the time, filming live workouts that, of course, stay up so you don't have to do them live with me for Fit Women's Weekly Live. And then when I'm not there, I'm generally here in my home office getting a lot of work done. And then on the weekends, when Dan's home, because he works a 9-to-5 job during the week, we do all the things that we need to do together for our business. And so right now, going on adventures and going on trips just really hasn't been something that we're capable of doing right now. However, this weekend, we actually got outside and we did what we like to call living our fitness. If you've been a longtime listener, you know that living our fitness is literally our why to being fit. It is the reason that we stay consistent. It's living your fitness simply means it's what's the purpose of working out, of lifting weights, of pushing hard, of getting uncomfortable if you don't actually use that outside of the gym? So for us, it's living our fitness to be able to go hiking, trail running, playing with our nieces, kayaking, all the things. We never want to have to turn something down when we have an opportunity because we're not fit and healthy enough to be able to do that. So this past weekend, we were invited on a kayaking trip in the upstate. I live in South Carolina, to go kayak down the Catawba River to go check out the spider lilies. Spider lilies are a water lily. It's in fresh water, and they are these beautiful lilies. I was imagining like lily pads, but no, these are very tall, almost look like Easter lilies in the way that they grow up. And Catawba River is actually one of the highest natural populations of them in the country. And right now is when they are in bloom. So we got the invitation to go be able to kayak and experience that and see them. And I'm so glad that we did. And what's really, really cool is that In South Carolina, most of our lakes are man made. Our rivers are not, but the lakes themselves are, which means that our lakes are controlled the depth by what Duke Power Plant, which is one of the big power plants here, and for energy stuff, right? And so they control the water flow. So on the weekends, the Duke Energy Plant is supposed to open up the dam so that the rivers are a little bit higher for recreational use. But this weekend, apparently they did not get the memo and did not put a ton of water in the river. So the river was a little bit lower than normal. And the guides were a little bit nervous about that. We were with like a group of kayakers. But it ended up making it so much more fun because the river was so low. You could see all the creeks or all the river rocks. And it was a really fast flow. So you kind of had to maneuver around the rocks. Otherwise, you would get stuck. So there was a lot of like, go right, go left, go left. And I'm not talking like white water, but it was definitely more technical than I expected it to be. So that was really, really fun. It was absolutely stunning and beautiful. By the time we were done, Dan and I were at the front of the group, so we helped the guides bring everybody in because it was kind of faster moving than they were used to and helped out. And then we hiked it was only like a 1.5 mile hike back up to our car from once we got out of our kayak. So yeah, it was amazing. So glad that we did that. And again, just a reminder of why we do what we do, because I love to be outside. I love having those adventures and having the sun on my skin and not just going for a walk, but actually getting out and moving the body in different ways. So freaking cool. If you guys ever have the chance to go do that, definitely check it out. It was on the Catawba River in upstate South Carolina, which means I did not realize this at the time, but where we were actually on the river was only about a 30 or even less than that, probably a 20-minute drive from where I went to college. So I went to a college called Winthrop University. And so after we were all done, we decided to go, we were with my sister-in-law and her friend. We decided to go to Rock Hill, which is the city that my school was in, for lunch. And I was not expecting that at all. But once I saw that we were in Rock Hill, we ended up being right down the street from my campus. And so my sister-in-law was like, well, we're all the way here. We can't come all the way here and you not go back to your campus. And y'all, I am not a very sentimental person by any means. So at first I was like, whatever. I don't care. But, and maybe again, this is with being 40, I guess I'm becoming a little bit more sentimental because once we got back to campus, it was so nostalgic and I loved to be able to walk them around. My sister-in-law, Dan, share with them the buildings that I used to go to the most often, the science building. I showed them the biology building and the chemistry building and just walked them around a little bit. And for those of you guys that don't know, Dan went to Clemson. And a lot of the Clemson buildings and the Winthrop buildings are named. We are actually Clemson's. So Winthrop used to be an all-women's college, and it was Clemson's sister college at one point because Clemson was a military all-men's school. So a lot of our buildings are named the same. So like they have a Tillman Watchtower. We have a Tillman Watchtower. So I walked them around and showed that to them. And Dan and I dated my junior and senior year of college, but he didn't live there and I lived off campus, so he really wasn't on campus very often. So it was really cool to show him a lot of that stuff for the first time too. So that was fun. Just another great walk around the city to help just kind of like get our stomachs rested after a big lunch and before we hopped back in the car to drive home. So overall, it was a great trip. And let me tell you guys this. You guys know that I am a foodie at heart. I am not going to let anybody starve on my watch. I made a big old cooler. If you're like this, let me know. I decided that I was going to make breakfast sandwiches. Y'all, we had to wake up at 4 a.m. or 3:30. I don't remember. Very, very early to get on the road because it was a 3-hour drive from here in Charleston. And our tour started at 8:30. So I was like, well, obviously I'm going to pack us sandwiches for the road. I had bought English muffins with the idea that I would make breakfast sandwiches. And then once I got home to actually start making them, I was like, you know what? I have my sourdough starter. He's nice and healthy. I have everything that I need. Why don't I just make homemade sourdough bagels? Who does that, right? So that's what I ended up doing. I still have the English muffins in my pantry. I never opened them at all. I made homemade sourdough bagels with eggs and bacon. They were so good. So that was our breakfast. One little quick tip, if you like breakfast sandwiches and you want a kind of a faster way to do them, I actually made the eggs in my mini waffle maker, and that ended up being the perfect fit for on the bagel. So as my bacon was cooking, I had my eggs cooking in the waffle maker, and they would take probably 45 seconds for each one to do. It was very, very fast, perfect size, perfect thickness for the perfect egg sandwich. So we had egg sandwiches. I also made my homemade granola, which turned out really well, with just a little dash of cardamom, which really helped just add flavor to it. So good. And then we had extras left over for the week too. And then what else did I do? I packed some Laura bars were in there, and beef jerky. You can't go on a road trip without beef jerky. And then a couple of pieces of dark chocolate, because you always need something sweet. So yeah, I made sure nobody was going to starve, but we had some really great options just to grab and go from. And yeah, that was our trip. That was living my fitness. So just a reminder, working out is great. Lifting heavy weights is amazing. Sweating is great inside a gym space. But why are you doing it? Get out and move your body. Reward yourself with that hard work and let that fitness do something to enhance your life outside of just those gym walls. Promise me that. All right. Speaking of gym walls and hot and being in the summertime, our summer shred starts on Monday, June 3rd. It is not too late to join in. This is a small group, 8-week strength and fitness program where I've outlined an entire 8-week program. All you have to do is do what I say on each day. You don't have to think about it. You just have to commit to doing it. Wake up, click on the workout for that day, knock it out. So when I say click on the workout, I mean you can either do the workout live with me, but if you want to get your workout done before, because we have over 1,000 workouts already in Fit Women's Weekly Live, you can also just click on the workout that I'll have pre-programmed in there and get it done that way as well. So I make it so simple. If you want to get fitter, you want to get stronger, you want to get faster, you want to get leaner, you want to show a little bit more muscle pop, and you want to learn more about fitness and nutrition, then think about the summer shred. But your time is running out, so don't think too long. Go ahead and take action, and I'll make sure to put all of the information that you need to know in the show notes, and then you can get signed up. And for the 8 weeks, there's no commitment beyond that. You're simply signing up for 8 weeks. You're not going to get locked into a Fit Women's Weekly Live membership. You just, 8 weeks, starts on June 3rd, ends 8 weeks later. If you want to join Fit Women's Weekly Live after that, you absolutely can, but you are not pressured to do that, and you're not rolled into any type of auto payment after the 8 weeks. So think about it, but don't think too long, because before you know it, registration is going to be closed and you're going to miss out. But all the information is down below. All right, so let's freaking talk about turning 40. I recently read some research that talked about how, and this was in Science Daily, research is how you think about your age may affect how you age. And this was published in Purdue University. And basically it just says that how you think about yourself is in fact how your body reacts. So if you think about yourself as being older, you say like, oh man, I'm 40, but I feel 50, then science actually shows that you age faster and that you are going to have more aches and pains and chronic illness a lot more likely than if you are somebody that's 40 or 50 and you feel like you're 5 or 10 years younger. So in my head, I've always felt much younger than I am, and I think that that's an amazing thing. I feel like I carry myself, I feel like a little bit younger than a 40-year-old, and I absolutely do not feel 40, which is a huge privilege. However, I will say that you always hear women saying, oh, I feel so much sexier when I turned 40. My 40s were my best. I felt the most confident in my skin. And I never understood that. I never understood like, okay, well, why? Because it's just a year older. However, I will say in just the 2 years, the 2 months that I have been 40, I have absolutely felt a difference in myself. I don't feel older, but what they were saying just, it makes sense to me. And it was almost as if I woke up on April 7th, which my birthday is April 6th, and I went, oh, I get it. Because I stopped all of a sudden caring. Not caring about things that are important to me, but caring about comparing myself to people in their 30s. It is almost as if this 40 decade came upon me and I was able to say, I'm too old for this. I'm too old for that crap. I'm not saying that I feel older than I am. I'm simply no longer saying I am 40, but I'm trying to be a 30-year-old. When I was in my 30s, I still felt like that was a very young chronological age, right? And so in my 30s, I still kept saying, like, I'm not trying to be a fit 39-year-old. I'm trying to be a fit 39-year-old that can keep up with the 20-year-olds. I wanted to be fit not just for my age, but in comparison to everybody else that I knew. And that put a lot of pressure on me. I wanted to look and feel a lot younger. And now I look at it as I am 40. I am not trying to beat somebody in their 20s. I am not trying to be more fit than somebody who is 30. I'm simply focused now on myself and being the healthiest version of myself as I move forward. I am still trying to improve myself, but I'm not trying to look back and go, man, I want to be in better shape than I was when I was 30 years old. I simply look at myself and say, all right, I want to be in better shape than I am today and move forward. And the same thing goes for how my body is too, the way that my body looks. Again, in my 30s, I was still comparing myself to people that were much younger than me, saying, do I look as fit as they do? Do I look fitter? Do I look stronger than that girl that's 28? And that puts so much pressure on us. And as women, like, we get it. We do that. That's part of, unfortunately, our society, right? We try to continue to look and feel as young as we can. And there's nothing wrong with trying to feel and look your best. But at the heart of it, that's what it should be. Look and feel your best, not trying to look and feel like somebody else who's half of your age. And something just clicked. And I finally looked at myself in the mirror and said, I'm a pretty badass 40-year-old. I carry myself very well. I work really hard, and sure, there's always going to be little things. You know, you look in the mirror, you're going to have your good days and your bad days. But overall, I'm pretty proud of what this body is able to do. And I have said this in the past, and it's sometimes very fleeting. I've had up and down moments where I look at myself and go, yeah, I love myself. And then up and down moments where I'm like, I don't really love myself. But the love that I all of a sudden have for myself at turning 40 is just different. It's an unconditional feel. And what I love most about it is that it is 100% sincere, and sincere enough that it's not me trying to convince myself, and it's other people are actually seeing that difference. I went out to lunch with one of my besties, Alex, not too long ago, and she just looked at me and goes, "You look really good." It's almost as if like you're radiating a happiness almost. And I told her, I'm like, you're right, because for once, I actually am really proud of what I look like and how I feel and what my body can do. And then I was talking to another one of my girlfriends that I work out with, Julie, just a couple of days ago. And I said the same thing. And I was like, you hear people that talk about how when you turn 40, how you change your outlook and how you feel about yourself. And I didn't get it. And all of a sudden, it's hard to explain, but I do. And as I was telling her this, she was like, and we were having a little bit deeper conversation about it. She's in her 50s and she's like, it just keeps getting better. And she's like, but what I love most about this conversation is that I can tell how sincere you actually are, that you truly believe it. You're not trying to convince yourself of this. I can honestly tell that every word that is coming out of your mouth, you really do believe it. And that makes me so happy. So it's almost after 40 years of trying to chase after something, I've stopped chasing it and I just embrace it, and I embrace the human that I am. And I love that I'm no longer trying to be the fittest woman I know. I'm just trying to be the fittest, strongest, healthiest Kindle that I know. And this Kindle, I'm pretty freaking proud of. So I just wanted to share this simply because, with social media, we're always trying to compare ourselves. I did for years. I would follow people who are now around 30, and I would say, like, I wonder if I could beat them in a workout. I don't care anymore. That's really what it comes down to, is I just don't care. That's it. I care about myself. I care about my clients and making them and helping them get the results that they want and trying to keep them inspired with their fitness. And I care about keeping myself motivated and doing the things that I love, but I no longer care about the comparison game. So I don't know who needs to hear this or if you're struggling, but I promise something does happen. And I'm assuming that everything that people have told me is true, and it's only going to get better with age. So I am somebody that's going to sit here and say 40 is not so bad. I'm actually really, really embracing it. And one other thing that I found about 40 as well was, again, with the comparison, but in another way. This past weekend was Memorial Day weekend. I have done the workout Murph every year for over a decade. I have honestly probably done that workout close to 20 times, because most times I've done it twice. Like, I've done it with different groups and different classes. So I end up doing that workout quite often. And this weekend, I did not do it. And here's why. Because again, it's almost as if I've had this epiphany on life. I just see what's actually important, right? And yes, doing Murph for some people is so important. But what I have seen, and for those of you guys that don't know what Murph is, it is a workout after Lieutenant Michael Murphy, who passed away in Afghanistan, and it was his favorite workout. It was called something else at the time, but it's a mile run, 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 squats, and another mile run for time. And then when he passed away, it was called Murph. People all over the country do it on Memorial Day to honor those who have lost their lives, aka to help remember what Memorial Day is all about. And I've always done it. But what I've noticed in the past couple of years is that it's gotten so popular that I feel like a lot of people now do it for clout. They forget the true purpose of what the workout is, and instead post that they did it on Instagram so that they can get like, oh, good for you. And they post their times, but they're not actually doing it for the real purpose of what it is. And I did not want to do that. I didn't want to fall into the circle of doing it just because everybody else was doing it. So I did not do Murph this year. And I'm not going to lie, there were a lot of times where people were posting about it and I felt bad and almost felt guilty because I was like, should I have done it? And then at the heart of it, I went, no. Because instead, I got up. I'm not saying one way is worse than the other. I think that people that do Murph and they keep why it's important to do it in their heart while they're doing it is amazing. But I wanted to give respect to the day in a little bit different way. So I got up and I went for an hour walk where I just thought about my gratitude for the day, thanked those that are no longer here that gave me the freedom to be able to walk around, and that, yeah, I just paid my respects. I'm not going to go into all the details, but it was really, really good. And then I did a hard workout with a girlfriend, and I didn't feel any better or any worse for not doing Murph. I just felt like I gave the day the respect that it deserved. So yeah, that's why I didn't do it. Maybe next year I'll do it. I'll feel back into it. But this year I just felt like I needed to do something a little bit different, and I'm glad that I did. So yeah, I did not do Murph. But if you did, congratulations and awesome. I just hope that you did it because you wanted to do it to pay respects to Memorial Day versus just doing it because everybody at your gym or everybody else around you was doing it and you wanted to be able to take pictures. Yeah, that's my thought on that. All right, you guys. So that's our chat today. I wanted to just share a little bit more about living fitness. I feel like we haven't had just a chit chat day in a while where it's us sitting down, almost like having a cup of coffee, having girl time, talking about life, talking about outlooks. And I wanted us to have that today. So this is a little bit different than our typical Wednesday podcast, but I needed this and I hope that you did too. I wanted to catch you guys up. I wanted to fill you in on just this new epiphany that I've had. And if you can relate, I would love to hear about it. If you have any questions or future topic ideas that you'd like covered in the podcast, All you got to do is email me at kindle@fitwomensweekly.com, or you can slide into my DMs, Kindle Boyle Fitness on Instagram. And just a reminder, 2 reminders. Reminder number 1, subscribe to the podcast or to the YouTube channel, leave a review on whatever platform it is that you listen to it. And Summer Shred begins June 3rd. This is something that you do not want to pass up. If you want to work out with me, your workouts just aren't working for you right now, you're ready to try something new, you want to be pushed, you want to have some extra mojo as we are going into the summer, then check out all the details down in the show notes. There's the direct link to sign up. And if you have questions about it, let me know and we will decide together if the challenge is right for you or not. All right, guys, go have yourself a great day. Go kick butt. Do the best that you can without comparing yourself to anybody else. Embrace the person that you are, and each day that you wake up, simply try to be better than you were yesterday. Try to be better, show up for yourself, not because of anybody else around you. Feels really good. All right, bye y'all.